Hey everyone, welcome back to Donghua Looks Back, where we relive the best moments of Chinese anime together. If you enjoy epic cultivation battles and deep story analysis, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a new episode review. Han Li, who had returned after breaking the seal, was invited by old ancestor Ling Hu of Yellow Maple Valley, who had once saved him. They had reached some kind of deal between them. He would take action 3 times when Yellow Maple Valley was in crisis. When Han Li was seeing Elder Lu Luo of the Fallen Cloud sect out, this senior brother Lu still asked, with some concern, "Junior brother Han, you went to see the person who saved you today. How did it go?" As this senior brother Lu asked the question, his gaze was fixed on Han Li's face, as if trying to read something from it. "Nothing happened at all. We were just catching up, just talking about old times. That's all." Han Li didn't even blink. His expression was as calm as ever. "Then I, your senior brother, can rest assured." Hearing this, Lu Luo, most of the worrying in his heart instantly dissipated. He grinned and exchanged a few more words with Han Li. Then he left with the Fire Dragon Acolyte, feeling at ease. Han Li stood in front of the pavilion door, watching the two of them enter another nearby pavilion. They seemed to be contacting other cultivators. It seems these two must be busy with the Heavenly Tao Alliance, holding some other position. Otherwise, why is it that, regardless of the mutation, or when the righteous and demonic paths need a representative, why would they always be the ones sought out? Han Li stroked his chin, pondering to himself. Then he turned and entered his own pavilion. In the second month, at the grand meeting, the number of participating Nascent Soul cultivators, Soul Stage Elder, or several core formation cultivators, to go to Tiatiacheng as reinforcements. Of course, because the journey was quite long, these people would certainly need some time before they could arrive at Tiatiacheng. And during this time, then there are the cultivators like Lu Luo who are already here. They will temporarily follow the orders of the Nine Nations Alliance to delay the Mu Lan people's offensive, of course, for the sake of fairness. Once the reinforcements arrive, these cultivators, who have already contributed greatly, will be considered to have performed a great service. They can then return to their sects, without needing to participate in the subsequent battles, and the reinforcement cultivators will take their place to handle the major battles to come. And now, whether it's the Fire Dragon Boy or Lu Luo and the others, after a round of discussions, they have each received their missions, and have begun to head to their various fronts to provide support. Han Li and to other Nascent Soul cultivators, leading 7 or 8 core formation cultivators, were dispatched to support a location on the border of the state of Yue, a strategic point guarded by a great restrictive formation. That place is a stronghold the spell warrior invaders, small number of people, would find it very difficult to resist. The same rank cultivators traveling with Han Li. One was an elder named Ma Din from the Righteous Path's Howren Pavilion. He was tall and slender, with a handsome and ethereal appearance, function of superiority among the 3 of them, because they were afraid the army of mages would reach the place they were reinforcing ahead of schedule. So after a brief discussion, the 3 of them immediately left those 7 or 8 low-level cultivators behind, and rode an extremely fast streak of light to go on ahead. They let those low-level juniors follow along behind them. On the way, recently advanced in cultivation. As a cultivator, they didn't think too highly of Han Li's strength. More than half a month later, on the summit of Huanglong Mountain near the state of Guo, within a complex of exquisite pavilions, a bald, burly man of over 40 years old was pacing back and forth restlessly in a great hall. A trace of anxiety was visible on his face. After a short while, the burly man plopped down onto a wicker chair. He picked up a cup of light tea from the table and took a small sip. Just as his troubled mind was starting to calm for a moment, a streak of red light suddenly shot in from outside. It began to circle and dance at the top of the main hall. Seeing this, the burly man's expression changed. He reached out his hand and beckoned to the red light. The red light immediately landed in the palm of his hand. It transformed into a ball of raging flames. It burned fiercely. The burly man immersed his consciousness into the flames, but his face immediately turned grim. After a moment, the burly man's face turned ashen. He suddenly reached into his robes. A small, green bronze bell appeared in his hand. Without another word, he extended a short, thick finger and tapped the bell. A clear and melodious chime rang out. It echoed throughout the entire hall, and with unending echoes, it spread far and wide in all directions. Following that, across the entire summit of Yellow Dragon Mountain, the same bell chimes began to ring out from everywhere. From among the ornate pavilions, various colored lights began to rise, and cultivators in various attires all hurriedly flew out from within. Then, in a well-trained manner, they dispersed in all directions. Not long after, the entire area around Yellow Dragon Mountain began to fill with a dense, green monster, turning the area for tens of miles around into a strange sea of emerald green mist. At this moment, in the hall where the large bald man was, a few more cultivators appeared, 3 men and 1 woman. All of them were at the core formation stage of cultivation. Among them were 2 men in their 30s, who looked exactly alike. They were actually a pair of twin brothers. Another man was dressed in Taoist robes, holding a horsetail whisk. He was a middle-aged Taoist priest. The only female cultivator was petite, with very delicate features. The 4 of them stood on either side of the large man, all wearing solemn expressions. Senior Liu, did the Fashi army really arrive so quickly? The last time we received news, wasn't it said that the Fashi contingent heading this way was still being held back at Senior Bu's position? Could it be that in just 7 or 8 short days, the Tianfeng Zhuanbo formation that Senior Bu was defending has been broken? Could there have been a mistake somewhere? The female cultivator asked with some hesitation, her face full of disbelief. A mistake. I wish the one who sent the voice transmission talisman had made a mistake. But this voice transmission talisman was sent by Bu Tuozi himself, and he was also seriously injured. The defeated cultivators, along with their pursuers, will soon arrive at our Huanglong Mountain. Do not harbor any false hopes. We cannot wait for reinforcements. We can only face the enemy alone for now. The burly man sneered. He said in a grim tone. When the 4 Yadeng cultivators before him heard this, they could only look at one another and acknowledge the order with wry smiles. Just as the big man was issuing a series of commands, instructing the 4 of them to act separately, to deal with the impending great battle, suddenly, another streak of red light shot in. This startled the big man and the others. The big man was also stunned for a moment, but his hand showed no hesitation. He reached out and caught the voice transmission talisman. A flame flickered incessantly in his hand. He heard the words from the voice transmission talisman crystal clear. An extremely peculiar expression appeared on his face. How could this be? Have the mages already fought their way here? Seeing this, the female cultivator finally could not help but ask. Hearing this, the other 3 also put on grave expressions. No, it's our reinforcements. They have arrived. 3 7th-layer Yuanying fellow Taoists are right outside the Grand Formation. Hongling, the 4 of you, quickly go out and welcome the 3 seniors. Please escort them here. The burly man's face broke into a smile. He forcibly suppressed the excitement in his heart, and said slowly, at once. These 4 core formation cultivators were overjoyed. After immediately accepting the order, they bowed to the burly man, and left the main hall, to welcome the 3 fellow Taoists of the Nascent Soul stage. Meanwhile, at the periphery of the green sea of mist, 3 people were floating high in the sky, continuously observing the restrictive grand formation before them. These 3 people, naturally, had traveled day and night. It was Han Li, who had rushed here overnight, and the other, to Nascent Soul cultivators, because they would have to rely on this grand formation, and after Master Mu Lan and Zhou Zhuan, the 3 of them, sent the voice transmission talisman. Each of them silently scrutinized the sea of mist, trying to discern its secrets, leaving aside whether this formation was powerful or not. But with just one glance, the seemingly endless sea of mist already made the 3 of them feel an extraordinary presence. Meanwhile, Han Li stood alone, hands clasped behind his back, a blue light in his eyes, flickering as he looked at everything before him. A thoughtful expression appeared on his face. The 3 of them did not wait for long. The green mist in front of them suddenly emitted a flash of white light. After the green mist swirled, a clear passage appeared. But Elder Ma Din and that Gu Shuangpu acted as if they hadn't seen a thing. They showed no reaction at all. One person looked up at the sky without a word, while the other continued to stare at the sea of mist to the side, without so much as a blink, as if trying to discern some profound secret within it. Only Han Li had a faint smile on his face. He looked peacefully toward the entrance of the passage. A moment later, 4 brilliant streaks of light shot out from the depths of the passage. The light faded, revealing 3 men and 1 woman. They materialized before Han Li and the others. This junior pays his respects to the 3 seniors. May I be so bold as to ask for the esteemed names of you 3 seniors? A dignified-looking middle-aged Taoist stepped forward and bowed respectfully to Han Li's group. I am Han, an elder of the Drifting Cloud sect. These 2 are fellow Taoist Ma of the Grand Righteousness Pavilion, and fellow Taoist Gu of the Jade 4 sect. There were 7 or 8 other core formation fellow Taoists behind us. The 3 of us were afraid of delaying the reinforcements, so we came on ahead. Now that the Great Formation's restrictions have been opened, does that mean the Mu Lan people are about to arrive? Seeing that the other had no intention of speaking, Han Li gave a calm smile. He took the initiative to inquire, So, it's Senior Han. I am Chong Yunzi of the Qingshu sect. These two are the Morong brothers from Yellow Maple Valley, and this is Miss Li from the Huadao stronghold. He introduced the Morong brothers to Han Li. Han Li's gaze swept over the faces of the twin brothers. A faint, ambiguous smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. Is fellow Taoist Ni doing well? Han Li asked with a light smile. Senior, you know Senior Sister Ni. The two of us have been guarding this great formation. We haven't seen our fellow disciples in several years. Hearing this, the Morong brothers' faces lit up with pleasant surprise. She is doing very well. Of course, I just saw your senior sister not long ago. But it seems you two really don't recognize me. But that's understandable. I only met you two briefly back then. It's quite normal that you don't have much of an impression. Han Li looked at this pair who were almost identical. This pair of twin brothers. He pursed his lips and said with a grin, these two had changed a great deal. But he could still see something familiar in them. Upon hearing Han Li's words, the Morong brothers were startled. From what this senior before them said, it seemed he was an old acquaintance of theirs. But why didn't the two of them have the slightest recollection? But then again, looking Han Li over again now, Brother Morong, I really do have a sense of familiarity, a feeling of déjà vu. This made the two of them exchange a puzzled glance. Heh, since you the fellow cultivators cannot recall at the moment, let's speak of this matter later. Can we go in now? Han Li tilted his head and looked at the old man surnamed Ma. And Gu Shengpu, he said noncommittally. Of course you can. 3 seniors, please come with me. Senior Lu is in the main hall awaiting your arrival. This Changshu was just a bit baffled that Han Li and Brother Morong knew each other. It left him somewhat confused. Now, hearing Han Li say this, he quickly composed himself and agreed. Then the 4 of them led the way. Han Li's group of 3, unhurriedly, flew into the sea of mist. As Han Li and the others flew inside, the passage soon churned with green mist and closed up again. A moment later, Han Li and his companions were in the main hall, where they saw a burly, bald-browed man. Welcome, you 3, for coming to aid our alliance. Aren't these 2 Brother Ma and fellow Taoist Gu? And who might this very young fellow Taoist be? Could you introduce him to this Lu? A big man came out and saw the 3 of them. His somewhat fierce-looking face was full of smiles, and he immediately called out the old man Ma Den and Gu Shuangpu by name. He was acquainted with these 2, but he was a complete stranger to Han Li. After his curious gaze swept over Han Li, he asked in surprise, Heh, it's not surprising that you don't recognize him, Brother Lu. Fellow Taoist Han only successfully formed his Nascent Soul recent years. His future is limitless. When the old man Ma Den saw the bald-headed big man, he didn't show any surprise. Instead, he chuckled and said, oh, so he's a newly advanced fellow. No wonder I've never seen you before, fellow Taoist. But in any case, I must thank the 3 of you for your powerful assistance. Without more reinforcements, I really didn't have the confidence to hold on for a few more days. When the big man Lu Din heard that Han Li was a newly advanced Nascent Soul cultivator, a trace of disappointment flashed across his face. But he quickly returned to normal and thanked them repeatedly. This slight change in the bald-headed big man's expression naturally did not escape Han Li's eyes. But he just smiled without saying a word. Not a hint of displeasure showed on his face. Big man Gu then chatted a bit with Gu Shuangpu about old times. Then, his expression turned serious, and he began to speak of the current perilous situation. You 3 Taoist friends have come at just the right time. I just received news. A team of mages has already broken through the guarded Tiantai Valley. They are taking advantage of the momentum and charging this way. In less than half a day at most, the defeated allies from Tiantai Valley will arrive here. It would be best if you 3 Taoist friends could go and provide some support. Big man Gu didn't stand on ceremony. After a brief explanation, he made his request. This is easy, just a trivial matter. Just leave it to me alone. There's no need for Taoist friend Han and Brother Gu to get involved, said Elder Ma Den, with an unconcerned look on his face. He readily took the entire task upon himself. This made Han Li and Gu Shuangpu both glance at him in surprise. Don't be surprised, you 2 Taoist friends. It's not that I, Ma, want to be in the limelight. It's just that I recently obtained a new sword and a treasure, so I want to test their power. Surely you 2 won't fight me for this opportunity, will you? The old man stroked his beard and said with a mysterious look on his face, Heh, since Taoist friend Ma is so confident, of course I, Gu, wouldn't do something so unnecessary. Gu Shuangpu let out a laugh and said faintly. Meanwhile, Han Li just smiled from the side. Very well. Let fellow Taoist Han and Brother Gu rest for a while first. We'll have to trouble fellow Taoist Lao Ma. However, I'll have the Morong brothers accompany you, fellow Taoist, on the trip. The lightning elemental spells they cultivate are quite powerful. The bald, burly man only pondered for a moment, before nodding in agreement. He also had that pair of twin brothers go along. This time, the old man did not object. After all, at this place, it's better to have someone familiar accompany him. So, the old man from Howren Pavilion and the Morong brothers set off immediately to go and support the retreating cultivators of the Nine Nations Alliance. As for Han Li and Gu Shuangpu, they were led by the woman surnamed Li and Chong Shu out of the main hall to arrange a place for the two of them to rest. Along the way, Han Li parted ways with the scowling old man, led by that petite female cultivator. Han Li arrived before an elegant and secluded small building. Senior, this place is normally strictly off-limits to junior disciples. It should be the best place for cultivation. Senior, it is in this building. This pretty and petite female cultivator, after pointing at the pavilion in front of them, she stepped aside and stood to one side. Indeed, not bad. Han Li nodded. A hint of satisfaction appeared on her face. Senior, Yuwen, is the fellow Taoist really all right? I haven't seen Senior Sister in a long time either. This woman did not leave immediately. Instead, she hesitated for a moment before asking, "What? Are you also very familiar with Miss Ni?" Han Li was a little surprised. She carefully sized up this woman and asked with a calm expression. It was only then that Han Li realized, although it was the first time she had seen this woman, there was something familiar about her beautiful brows and bright eyes. She gave off a kind and familiar feeling. Han Li's act of staring intently made the woman with the surname Li a little uneasy. Although she was secretly annoyed, her face still flushed red. This humble one was able to join the Hui Daowu sect, all thanks to Senior Sister Ni's recommendation back then. How could we not be familiar? The petite female cultivator, her head slightly, and explained with her hands by her side. Yingning, Li Yingning. When Han Li heard this, an expression of surprise couldn't help but appear on his face. How, Senior, have you heard this junior's name before? Li Yingning noticed the strange tone in Han Li's voice. She couldn't help but raise her hand again, and asked, with keen interest, "What is your mother's name? Which country was she from before?" Han Li did not answer the woman. Instead, after taking a deep breath, he asked in return, "My mother, Mo Yuju, born in the state of Yue." Senior, why do you have this question? The woman hesitated for quite a while, feeling that there was really nothing to hide, and she vaguely recalled something. Then she replied haltingly, "Is that spirit-linking jade pendant still with you?" Han Li was silent for a moment, and said something that made the petite woman's heart skip a beat. A sudden realization dawned on her. This junior has kept it close to my person since childhood. The woman immediately replied. Then, under Han Li's watchful gaze, she turned around with a blush and reached into her robes. After fumbling for a moment, she took out a milky white jade pendant. Holding it in both hands, she turned back around. Han Li glanced at it. He reached out and beckoned. The jade pendant flew over as if it had grown wings. It arrived in his hand. With 2 fingers, he caressed the smooth surface of the jade pendant. Han Li let out a long sigh. A look of yearning appeared on his face. Only after a moment did he speak again. "I suppose you should know who I am by now. What did your mother tell you back then?" Han Li sized up the woman before him once more. This time, because he understood, he finally saw from her features a trace of Mo Yuju's likeness. This woman's appearance was slightly less beautiful than her mother's in her youth, but upon closer inspection, she possessed a different kind of heroic and valiant beauty. Mother didn't say much back then. She just said it was from a male cultivator friend of hers. A congratulatory gift for me. She didn't say anything more. In the years since I entered the cultivation world, I have also had people try to identify the jade pendant a few times, but I never received any useful information. I never expected that this jade pendant was actually a gift from you, Senior, and that you, Senior, are a cultivator from the Luo Yun sect. Li Yingning murmured. Her expression was uncertain. She seemed somewhat at a loss. I only joined the Luo Yun sect in recent years, but even before that, I wasn't cultivating in places like the state of Yue. It's quite normal that you haven't heard from me. But how did you end up joining the Blade Transformation Pavilion? Logically, you should have appeared at the Jade 4 sect. I wouldn't have been surprised at all. Han Li touched his nose, and said with a wry smile, "Why wouldn't it be strange for this junior to join the Jade 4 sect?" Li Yingning was taken aback upon hearing this. "You don't know anything about your father's affairs." Upon hearing this, Han Li became a bit suspicious. This junior indeed doesn't know much about my father's affairs. When I was very young, my whole family met with an accident. My maternal grandfather and my father both passed away early. Only my mother was left, and she took me away from the state of Yue. We drifted for a long time, before finally settling down in the Nine Nations Alliance. The woman's expression darkened. She forced a smile and said, so that's how it is. It seems it was most likely related to the internal strife of the devilish Tao. That's why your parents were caught in the crossfire. After all, the one in control of the state of UA now is not the Jade 4 sect. It is the Ghost Spirit sect. Han Li nodded, as if he was starting to understand. Devilish Tao in fighting, but the woman opposite him looked completely confused. Her expression was one of incomprehension. Han Li saw this and didn't plan to explain further. After returning the jade pendant in his hand to her, he gave a dignified smile. This spiritual creature has been with you for so many years. I naturally won't take it back. Back then in the mortal world, before I entered the world of cultivation, I was something of a senior martial brother to your mother. From now on, you can just call me Uncle Master Han. Uncle Master Han. Hearing this, Li Yingning was a bit hesitant. After her large eyes flickered a few times, she still called out in a low voice. Her face flushed slightly red, but to suddenly gain a Nascent Soul stage, Elder, after a moment of embarrassment, she was naturally overjoyed. There was even a faint, secret delight. Since you have called me Uncle Master, I cannot give you nothing in return. Here are 2 bottles of medicinal pills. They are perfect for a golden core stage cultivator to break through a bottleneck. If they are useful, then take them. Han Li showed a kind smile. He flipped over his palm, and 2 jade bottles appeared in it. He smilingly handed them to the girl. For Han Li, to be able to help the descendant of an old friend, he would not be stingy. Thank you, Uncle Master. The young woman accepted the medicinal bottles. Her face was filled with a look of pleasant surprise. Her voice of thanks was sincere and crisp. What kind of magic treasure are you using now? Could that be the flying dagger you brought out? What materials was it refined from? Han Li thought for a moment before asking. That's right. It's this magic treasure. The flying dagger was forged from blazing flame iron and Zhuanyan stem. That is what it was refined from. Its power is quite decent. Li Yingning was stunned for a moment. He replied with some confusion. Under normal circumstances, that flying dagger would be sufficient. But now we're about to face a high-level cultivator. Relying on this treasure alone is probably too dangerous. Han Li shook his head and said, but right now, even if you, martial uncle, were to give me a new magic treasure, I wouldn't have the time to refine it. Li Yingning said helplessly. Hearing this, Han Li's expression grew thoughtful as he pondered. But a moment later, he slapped a spirit beast pouch at his waist. A large swarm of tricolored gold devouring beetles poured out of the pouch, and amidst a buzzing sound, they formed a large cloud of insects, floating above Han Li's head. A golden light flashed in Han Li's eyes. He pointed a finger at the cloud of insects. A small portion of the cloud broke away and flew out on its own. Then, with a flick of his hand, a green spell seal shot out and struck it. The small swarm of gold-devouring beetles converged together under the flashing green light. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a fist-sized, 3-colored sphere. Gleaming brightly, it slowly landed in Han Li's hand. Take this and keep it safe. This is something I have meticulously refined. Whenever you encounter an enemy that is difficult to deal with, throwing this sphere should be able to save your life. Han Li tossed the sphere to the woman. With a solemn expression, she said, Thank you, Uncle Master Han, for your great kindness. Li Yingning had been watching, dumbfounded. Now, hearing Han Li say this, she was extremely grateful and thanked him repeatedly. Only then did she take the 3-colored sphere. The last bit of doubt in her heart also vanished without a trace with Han Li's gift of the treasure. At this moment, she finally and truly believed that Han Li's previous words were not false. Otherwise, if they had no connection at all, who would give away such a valuable item? Alright, you may leave for now. I need to meditate for a bit. After doing all this, Han Li put away the remaining materials. He said to the woman with a wave of his hand, after traveling through the night for so long, his magical power was truly running low. He had to recover it. Uncle Master Han, please rest well. If the army of mages arrives, Yingning will be sure to inform you, Uncle Master. Nowadays, in Li Yingning's words, there was already a hint of vague intimacy. He sat cross-legged in a quiet room on the 2nd floor of the attic. His eyes were tightly shut. His entire body glowed with a clear, crystalline light. His index finger formed a strange incantation seal. Between his palms, a purple flame the size of an egg was gently floating there, flickering non-stop. This was precisely the demonic flame that Han Li cultivated using the Qianlun ice flame, and the frigid Che expelled by the 6-winged frost centipede. A demonic flame he had cultivated. The power of this Si Huo was clearly a notch above the Qianlun ice flame. It was considered Han Li's greatest trump card at the moment. After discovering this flame that day, every time Han Li refined a trace of the Qianlun ice flame thereafter, he would immediately convert it into the purple demonic flame, truly making it his own, and to distinguish it from the Asura sacred fire. He named it the Ziluji fire. He believed that if even a late-stage Nascent Soul cultivator were to be touched by this Sihuo, they would absolutely be unable to endure it. As for whether it could instantly kill a late-stage Nascent Soul cultivator, Han Li had never truly seen a late-stage cultivator in action, so for the moment, he couldn't predict it. Unfortunately, although the power of this flame was incredibly great, it was limited by the amount of Qianlin ice flame he could refine. For now, he could only control this much Ziluo extreme fire. Otherwise, if the amount of this extreme fire were to multiply several times, even in a direct confrontation with a Nascent Soul, late-stage cultivator, I might not be without a chance to fight. Congratulations, Master. This purple apex fire, compared to when I first saw it, seems to have grown more powerful by 30%. It appears this fire still has much potential to be unlocked. Defiant, Yinyu's pleasant, marveling voice sounded in his mind. A faint smile appeared on Han Li's lips upon hearing this. Without another word, he opened his mouth. In a single breath, that ball of purple apex fire instantly transformed into a thin, vibrant wisp, and was sucked into his abdomen. Only then did he release his index finger and retract his technique. Although this purple apex heavenly fire is formidable, it's a pity the quantity is too small. It's not enough to be considered a true trump card. What I hope for most right now is to be able to open that void heaven treasure ding. If what you said about the power of a heaven-reaching spirit treasure is not an exaggeration, then with this ding in hand, it should be enough to sweep across Tiannan. Only then can I truly be at ease in this realm. Han Li opened his eyes and said slowly, Master, please rest assured. The divine power of the void heaven ding is only greater than what I have described, by no means inferior to it. Ming Yujiao said, full of confidence. Han Li heard this and nodded, just as he was about to say something more. Suddenly, a streak of white light shot in from outside. Yingning's clear voice came hurriedly from the white light. Senior Han, come to the main hall quickly. Senior Ma and the others have returned. The Mu Lan people are also about to arrive. As soon as these words were said, the white light circled once, then shot out of the quiet room. Han Li's expression darkened. After a cold glint flashed in his eyes a few times, he stood up and walked outside. When Han Li arrived in the main hall, Wu Shuangpu and the bald, burly man had already arrived. The elderly man with the surname Mao, who went to provide support, and another who was being supported, a pale-faced cultivator in a brocade robe, were saying something to the two of them. The Morong brothers, Yingning and the others were with the other unfamiliar core formation, cultivators, standing to the side and listening. Their faces were all grim. However, when Yingning saw Han Li enter, she glanced over and smiled charmingly. Fellow Taoist Han, you're here too. Let me make an introduction. This is fellow Taoist Bu Yunhe, who presides over Tiantai Valley. This is Taoist friend Han from the Luo Yun sect. He barely managed to force a smile. He introduced him with feigned ease upon seeing the situation. Han Li's heart sank slightly. It seems the situation is even worse than I imagined.